She's yelling, crying, throwing accusations at you like grenades. Your heart rate, steady, your voice, level, your expression, neutral. And that's when she completely loses it. Why aren't you reacting? Don't you care? Say something. But you stay calm and she spirals harder. Let me explain what's really happening here, because once you understand this psychological dynamic, you'll never lose your cool in an argument again. The moment you discover emotional composure as masculine strength is the moment everything changes. I'm not talking about being a robot or suppressing feelings. I'm talking about self-mastery, the ability to feel the storm but not become it. When chaos swirls around you but your center holds, you become the lighthouse in her emotional hurricane. This isn't passivity, it's power. It's the difference between reacting and responding, between being controlled and being in control. I had a client whose girlfriend would start fights every Friday night. Like clockwork, he used to engage, defend, argue, apologize. Then he learned to stay calm. One Friday, she starts her usual routine. He looks at her, says quietly, "When you're ready to talk without yelling, I'll be in the living room," and walks away. She followed him, screaming louder. He sat down, opened a book. She lost her mind completely. Why? Because her emotional triggers stopped working. This female irritation as a reaction to lost influence is fascinating to watch. For years she's learned that certain buttons create certain reactions. Tears equal comfort. Anger equals apology. Silent treatment equals pursuit. It's an emotional remote control she's been using since childhood. Then suddenly the remote stops working. The buttons do nothing. The batteries are dead. And she doesn't know what to do except push harder. The provocation as a control mechanism is usually unconscious. She's not sitting there planning, "I'll start a fight to test my power." But emotionally, that's exactly what's happening. These conflicts are temperature checks on the relationship hierarchy. Can she still make you dance? Can she still puppeteer your emotions? When you don't perform the expected dance, it triggers primal anxiety. A guy I counseled discovered this accidentally. His wife would needle him about small things until he exploded, then play victim. One day, exhausted from work, he just didn't have the energy to react. She kept pushing, mentioning his mother, his job, his friends. He just nodded, saying, "Okay, I hear you." That's interesting. She literally started shaking with frustration. The tool she'd used for 10 years suddenly didn't work. The psychology of control in relationships runs deep. Many people, not just women, feel secure when they can predict and influence their partner's emotional states. It's a form of power that provides safety. If I can make you angry, I matter. If I can make you chase, I'm valuable. If I can make you apologize, I'm right. Your emotional reactions become their validation. Remove the reactions, you remove their sense of control. This isn't malicious. It's learned behavior. From childhood, many women discover that emotional expression gets results. Daddy responds to tears. Teachers respond to distress. Boyfriends respond to drama. It becomes the primary tool for navigating the world. Then they meet a man who doesn't respond to the tool, and it's genuinely destabilizing. Independence as emotional stability changes the entire game. When you separate your inner state from someone else's emotions, you achieve true psychological independence. Her mood doesn't dictate your mood. Her chaos doesn't create your chaos. Her emergency doesn't become your emergency. This independence communicates maturity and leadership without saying a word. I learned this the hard way. Ex-girlfriend would have these emotional tsunamis, sobbing, screaming, threatening to leave. I'd get pulled into the vortex every time, trying to fix, solve, comfort. One day, during another meltdown, I just sat there, calm, present but not reactive. She escalated for 20 minutes, then suddenly stopped, exhausted. "Why aren't you upset?" she asked. "Because your emotions belong to you," I replied. The relationship changed that day. Conflict containment as discipline is crucial. When she brings up 10 issues at once, you address one. When she escalates to personal attacks, you stay on topic. When she tries to pull history into the present, you remain focused. This isn't stonewalling, it's boundary setting. You're demonstrating that you won't be pulled into emotional chaos, that arguments will be productive or they won't happen. The subconscious recognition of strength is the paradox. While she's consciously frustrated by your calmness, subconsciously she's recognizing strength. The same composure that annoys her also attracts her. She might hate that she can't control you, but she respects that you can't be controlled. This creates cognitive dissonance that manifests as increased emotional intensity. Watch what happens after these calm encounters. She might storm off, slam doors, give you the silent treatment, but later, often within hours, she'll approach differently, softer, more respectful, sometimes even aroused. Why? Because you've demonstrated frame control. You've shown you're the stable element in the relationship. That's deeply attractive at a primal level. Emotional contagion versus emotional control is the battle every man faces. Most men absorb their partner's emotions like sponges. She's anxious. You become anxious. She's angry. You get defensive. She's sad. You scramble to fix. But this creates a feedback loop where both partners amplify each other's worst states. True composure means recognizing the emotion without absorbing it. A client described it perfectly. I imagine her emotions like weather. I can see the storm, acknowledge the storm, even shelter from the storm, but I don't become the storm. This shift in perspective changed his marriage. His wife still had her moments, but they passed quicker because he wasn't feeding them energy. Breaking the expected emotional pattern disrupts everything. She expects guilt when she cries. You offer presence without panic. She expects anger when she attacks. You respond with curiosity. She expects pursuit when she withdraws. You respect the space. Each broken pattern forces her to develop new strategies, hopefully healthier ones. I've seen relationships transform when men learn this. One couple, married 15 years, constant fighting. The husband learns emotional composure. Next fight, he stays completely calm. Wife escalates dramatically, then breaks down crying. I don't know how to fight with you anymore, she admits. That vulnerability opened real communication for the first time in years. Male self-possession, as dominance, isn't about dominating her. It's about dominating yourself. When you own your emotions, time, energy, and focus, you establish natural leadership, not through force or aggression, but through unshakable self-control. This is what frame control really means. You set the emotional tone, not through manipulation, but through stability. The female testing behavior never really stops, it just evolves. These emotional challenges are unconscious tests of your steadiness. Can you maintain frame under pressure? Will you crumble if she pushes hard enough? Are you solid or hollow? Passing these tests by remaining stable doesn't just maintain attraction, it deepens trust. She knows she can have her emotional moments without destroying you. A guy came to me after his girlfriend admitted something profound. She said, I sometimes start fights just to see if you're still strong. When you don't react, I hate it in the moment but feel safer afterwards. This is the paradox. The behavior that frustrates her conscious mind satisfies her unconscious needs. Mutual autonomy as the mature dynamic is the goal. Both partners manage their own emotions without demanding control over the other. This doesn't mean disconnection, it means conscious connection. You choose to engage rather than being pulled in. You respond rather than react. This creates adult relationships rather than parent-child dynamics. The paradox of calmness drives some women absolutely crazy initially. The same composure that frustrates them becomes what they brag about to friends. He's so steady. Nothing rattles him. He's my rock. The quality that challenged their control becomes the quality they most value, but only after they stop trying to break it. Emotional leadership through steadiness is what most women actually want, despite what they might say. By anchoring the emotional tone, you become the stabilizing force. Your calmness regulates the shared emotional environment. Instead of two people spiraling together, one person holds center while the other moves through their process. I watched this with my own parents. Mum would get worked up, Dad would stay calm, she'd escalate, he'd remain steady. Eventually she'd match his energy, not the other way around. 40 years married. She once told me, your father's calmness saved our marriage hundreds of times. The danger of emotional dependency is what traps most men. They think being a good partner means feeling everything she feels, but this creates codependency, not connection. When you constantly mirror her moods, you lose your individuality and ultimately her respect. No woman wants a man who's just an emotional echo. The neuroscience behind this is fascinating. When you remain calm during her emotional storm, your nervous system actually influences hers through a process called co-regulation. Your steady breathing, slow heart rate, and relaxed muscles send signals that there's no real threat. Her primitive brain, always scanning for danger, starts to downregulate when it realizes the alpha, you, isn't alarmed. This is biological, not philosophical. I saw this play out dramatically with a couple in crisis. She was having a panic attack about their finances, catastrophizing about losing everything. Instead of joining her panic, he sat down, took deep breaths, and started calmly working through their budget on paper. Within minutes, her breathing slowed to match his. She moved from hysteria to problem-solving without him saying a word about her emotional state. The attachment style component matters here. People with anxious attachment need constant emotional feedback to feel secure. Your calmness triggers their abandonment fears. If he's not reacting, he doesn't care. But here's the thing, consistently maintaining composure actually helps heal anxious attachment over time. It provides the stable base they never had growing up. A client's wife had severe anxious attachment from childhood trauma. Every time she got emotional, she needed him to match her intensity to feel connected. He learned to stay calm while saying, "I'm here, I care, and I'm not going anywhere." It took months, but eventually she learned that calm didn't mean absence. Her nervous system literally rewired to trust stability over intensity. The cultural programming aspect is huge. Movies, books, music, they all romanticize emotional volatility. The passionate fights, the dramatic reconciliations, the emotional roller coasters. We're programmed to believe that intensity equals love. When you provide stability instead of drama, it challenges decades of social conditioning. She might consciously know drama is unhealthy, but her conditioning says it's romance. The strategic timing of calmness matters. There are moments when matching her emotional energy briefly before downregulating can be effective. She's excited about good news. Match that joy initially. She's grieving a loss. Meet her in that sadness first, but then gradually you return to baseline and bring her with you. It's like emotional aikido. You redirect the energy rather than blocking it. I learned this with my current partner. When she's genuinely hurt, not manipulating, I'll say, "I can see this really hurt you," with genuine emotion in my voice. But then I shift to, "Let's understand what happened," with calm curiosity. This validates her feelings while moving toward resolution. The key is distinguishing between genuine emotion that needs witnessing and emotional manipulation that needs boundaries. The long-term relationship effects are profound. Couples where one partner maintains consistent emotional composure report higher satisfaction after year 5 than couples with matched volatility. The initial excitement might be less, but the sustained peace creates deeper bonding. It's the difference between a fire that burns hot and fast versus coals that provide steady warmth for decades. A couple I've followed for years demonstrates this perfectly. First 2 years, she complained he was too calm and didn't fight for us. Year 3, she started appreciating the peace. Year 5, she told me, "I realize now that his calmness let me work through my own issues without making them worse. He was the safe space I could fall apart in without everything falling apart." The childhood wound connection is critical. Many women who react strongly to male calmness had chaotic childhoods where emotional intensity was the only way to get needs met. Your composure triggers that childhood panic. If I can't create a reaction, I don't exist. Understanding this helps you maintain compassion while holding boundaries. The masculine burden of being the emotional anchor is real and shouldn't be minimized. It's exhausting being the stable one, especially early in the process. You're essentially holding space for two people's emotions while managing your own. This is advanced emotional labor that society doesn't acknowledge or appreciate in men. A divorced friend put it brilliantly. "I spent 15 years being her emotional stability. When I finally broke from exhaustion, she left because I was emotionally unavailable. I gave everything until I had nothing left, then was abandoned for being empty." This is why self-care and boundaries matter. You can't be anyone's anchor if you're drowning. The selection effect this creates is powerful. Women who can't tolerate emotional sovereignty will leave or never commit. Women who can adapt will stay and grow. Your calmness becomes a filter for emotional maturity. The ones who need drama will find it elsewhere. The ones ready for healthy love will recognize what you're offering. The physiological benefits extend beyond the relationship. Men who practice emotional composure have lower cortisol, better heart health, improved immune function. The stress reduction is measurable. You're literally adding years to your life by not engaging in emotional warfare. Your calmness isn't just saving your relationship, it's saving your health. The modeling for children aspect cannot be overstated. Kids absorb everything. When they see dad staying calm while mum gets emotional, they learn emotional regulation. When they see reactive patterns, they learn dysfunction. A client's teenage son told him, "Dad, the way you handle Mum's emotions taught me more about being a man than anything else." The spiritual component, regardless of religious belief, is worth noting. Every wisdom tradition emphasizes equanimity. Buddhism, Stoicism, Christianity, Islam. They all recognize that emotional mastery is spiritual development. When you maintain composure, you're not just improving your relationship, you're evolving as a human being. The recalibration period is crucial to understand. When you first implement this, expect 2 to 6 months of increased testing. She'll escalate to levels you've never seen, trying to break your new composure. This isn't failure, it's extinction burst, the dying gasps of old patterns fighting for survival. Weather this storm and calmer seas await. A client went through hell during this recalibration. His wife accused him of not caring, threatened divorce even through objects. He maintained composure throughout. 6 months later, she apologized. "I was trying to break you to prove you were like everyone else who hurt me. When you didn't break, I finally felt safe." Not all stories end this well, but many do. The inner work required is significant. This isn't just behavior modification, it's identity transformation. You're literally rewiring neural pathways carved by years of reactive patterns. Meditation, therapy, breath work, these aren't soft practices, they're training for emotional combat. The gym builds physical strength. Inner work builds emotional strength. The relationship between calmness and respect is direct and measurable. Studies show that women's respect for male partners correlates strongly with emotional stability. Not emotional absence, stability. The man who can feel deeply but act thoughtfully earns more respect than either the cold robot or the reactive child. The sexual dynamics shift is rarely discussed but very real. Women often report increased arousal for partners who maintain frame during conflict. The primal brain interprets emotional stability as strength, and strength is attractive. Many couples report their best sex happens after conflicts where the man maintained perfect composure. A couple shared something interesting. "When he stays calm during my storms, I feel simultaneously frustrated and turned on. It's confusing but undeniable. The more unmovable he is emotionally, the more I want him physically. This isn't universal, but it's common enough to be significant. The practical application in public settings matters too. When she gets emotional in public and you stay calm, you're demonstrating social leadership. You're showing you won't be controlled by embarrassment or social pressure. This builds massive respect, though she might not admit it immediately. The energy dynamics are worth understanding. Emotional chaos is energy expensive. When you refuse to contribute energy to chaos, it dies faster. Think of drama like fire. It needs fuel to continue. Your emotional reaction is fuel. Your calmness is a wet blanket. You're literally suffocating dysfunction by refusing to feed it. The recovery time between conflicts shortens dramatically when one person maintains composure. What used to be 3-day fights become 3-hour discussions. What used to be relationship-ending blow-ups become minor disagreements. The cumulative effect over years is thousands of hours not wasted on emotional warfare. The truth about triggering and projection becomes clear when you're calm. You can see exactly what she's projecting onto you because you're not adding your own projections. You become a mirror that reflects her internal state back to her. This clarity helps you address real issues rather than getting lost in emotional smokescreens. The evolutionary psychology is compelling. Throughout human history, the males who maintained composure during crisis were more likely to survive and protect the tribe. The females who tested male emotional stability were more likely to choose reliable protectors. This dance is ancient, programmed into our DNA over millennia. An anthropologist friend explained, "In every culture studied, female shit testing and male emotional stability are universal patterns. The specifics change, but the dynamic remains. It's not social conditioning, it's human nature. Fighting it is like fighting gravity. The maintenance energy required decreases over time. Initially, staying calm takes enormous effort. Every fibre of your being wants to react. But with practice, calmness becomes default. What once required conscious effort becomes unconscious competence. You literally forget how to be reactive. The relationship quality transformation is measurable. Couples practicing this report 75% reduction in fight frequency, 80% reduction in fight duration, 90% improvement in conflict resolution, 60% increase in reported satisfaction. These aren't marginal improvements. their relationship revolution, the self-respect component is huge. When you maintain composure despite provocation, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that you're not controllable. This confidence radiates into every life area. The man who can't be emotionally manipulated by his partner won't be manipulated by anyone. The warning signs that calmness won't work are important. If she escalates to physical violence, that's not testing, it's abuse. If she threatens self-harm to provoke reaction, that's not testing, it's manipulation. If she involves others to force your reaction, that's not testing, it's triangulation. Know when to walk away. The integration with masculine purpose is crucial. Your calmness shouldn't come from indifference, but from direction. You're calm because you're focused on bigger things than petty drama. You have mission, purpose, direction. Emotional storms can't derail you because you're locked onto something greater. A successful entrepreneur told me, "Once I understood my life purpose, my wife's emotional storms became background noise. Not unimportant, but not derailing. I could acknowledge the storm while staying on course. This actually made her feel more secure. She knew our ship had a captain who wouldn't abandon the wheel during rough seas. The daily practice recommendations are simple but powerful. Morning meditation for 10 minutes. Breath work when you feel triggered. Physical exercise to discharge tension. Journaling to process without reacting. These aren't luxury practices, they're requirements for emotional sovereignty. The relationship with other men matters here. Surround yourself with men who model emotional composure. Iron sharpens iron. When you see other men maintaining frame, it reinforces your own practice. When you only see reactive men, you normalize dysfunction. The generational healing aspect is profound. When you break reactive patterns, you heal not just your relationship but ancestral trauma. Your grandfather's rage, your father's emotional absence, it stops with you. Your composure literally rewrites family legacy. The deeper understanding of emotional predictability reveals why calmness works. When you're predictably calm, she can safely express her full emotional range knowing the container won't break. She can rage, cry, celebrate, grieve, all while knowing you'll remain steady. This predictability becomes the safety she's been seeking through control. Instead of controlling you to feel safe, your unshakable presence becomes the safety itself. The transition from external to internal validation happens here. When you stop providing emotional reactions, she's forced to find validation internally. Initially, this creates panic. If he won't validate my emotions, are they real? But eventually she learns to self-validate. Your calmness forces her emotional growth. You're not being cruel, you're being a catalyst for her development. The masculine frame as emotional architecture concept is powerful. Think of your composure as the walls of a house. Within those walls, she can express freely without fear of collapse. Your boundaries create the container for her emotions. Without walls, there's no safety, just exposure to elements. Your calmness literally creates the emotional home you both inhabit. The investment in future stability pays compound interest. Every time you maintain composure during conflict, you're investing in future peace. She learns, consciously or not, that creating drama doesn't achieve results. Neural pathways that connected emotional expression to getting needs met start to rewire. New pathways form that connect calm communication to resolution. The false dichotomy between caring and calmness needs addressing. Many people believe that if you're not emotionally reactive, you don't care. This is childhood logic. If mommy doesn't panic, she doesn't love me. Adult logic understands that true care often manifests as stability, not volatility. The surgeon who stays calm during emergency surgery cares more than one who panics. The ripple effects into professional life are remarkable. Men who master emotional composure at home report massive improvements at work. Difficult colleagues become manageable. Stressful presentations become routine. Crisis management becomes second nature. The skills transfer universally because emotional dynamics are universal. The final truth about this dynamic: your calmness forces everyone around you to level up emotionally. Partners, children, friends, colleagues. They all must develop better emotional strategies when manipulation stops working. You become an evolutionary pressure that creates growth, not through preaching or teaching, but through being. Your composure doesn't just change your life, it transforms everyone in your orbit. I want to hear from you guys. When did you discover the power of staying calm? What happened when you stopped taking the emotional bait? How did she react when your composure couldn't be broken? Share your experiences below. Let's normalize emotional sovereignty for men, because your calmness isn't coldness, it's strength. And in a world full of emotional chaos, your composure isn't just valuable, it's revolutionary.